Here we go, tier 3, dynamic movement. You're gonna need some sort of step, okay? Some sort of elevated surface that you can stand on. It could be a few textbooks, it could be a couple plates, it could be a box. It could be anything, any other step or stair that you can use at home. As long as you can put your entire foot on that step, it'll be fine, okay? So I'm gonna start by standing on the step that I have. This is the lowest step that I have. It's about 12 inches. Again, the height is not super important here. What's going to be really important is everything that I described to you in controlling your weight, your body, against the resistance of gravity. Okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to choose one foot to balance on. Okay? I'm going to choose my left leg first. My right leg is going to be back behind me. I'm going to very slowly then drive my hips back. As my hips go back, I'm going to begin to lower, and I'm beginning to reach my back foot, my back toes towards the ground to barely tap the ground. I'm going to drive through my heel, my left heel, to stand all the way back up and up tall. So you can see that as I go down and back, I'm going extremely slowly to be able to touch the ground and then come back up. Okay, I'm going to go super slow for about 10 reps. If you want to do less or more, go for it. And there's another piece that's really important that I'll show you in just a moment after I finish number 3 here. One thing to consider that's really important is the alignment of the knee. When you go down and also when you're coming back up, you want to consider the knee staying right over the foot. You don't want it to collapse inward. Okay, that's really dangerous for all the medial meniscus, MCL, ACL, all the different tissue there on the medial side of the knee from collapsing. So that's dangerous. Don't let that happen. You can even keep it outside the foot a little bit more. So I've got 3 reps. Now I'm going to do 7 more on this side. Go ahead and start yours. Pause the video, whatever you want to do. Try to match my tempo of going really slow, being controlled. If you want to add weight or hold any sort of weight, then that's one way to add resistance. Choosing a bigger step or bigger box is another way to make it harder on yourself if you'd like. I'm just reaching my back leg back to just barely tap my toes to the ground. I'm at 6. Whoop. And anytime we're on one leg, one foot, remember that this is a balancing game. Okay, you're not going to keep your balance perfect all the time. So just be aware and be mindful. Also be generous with yourself that you're not going to be perfect all the time. You're going to lose your balance and that's okay. I got 9. 1 more. As you get tired too, really focus on keeping the same slow tempo. Don't allow yourself to go quicker or faster just because you're getting tired. You can do less reps if you need to. So now watch me with the right leg. Hips go back. Very slowly. Barely tap the ground. You can notice that I'm not even putting weight on the back foot. I'm not putting any weight on that back leg when I touch the ground. I'm just barely tapping the ground. I'm squeezing my glute when I come up. My arms are out in front of me for counterbalance, just because that's the way I prefer it. You can have your hands on your hips if you want. You may feel your foot, your calf, your thigh burn, that's okay. The main priority with this though is getting the glute of the working leg to activate. That's the main objective. Got 3 more. Okay, there we are. That's that lower body exercise, the step down. And that's with an eccentric focus, meaning focusing on the lowering phase of the exercise, going down, resisting gravity's push towards the ground. Now the next one's going to be on the ground in 90-90 position, which we've been in a lot. So go ahead and get there. Join me. Now it's not going to be a perfect 90-90 today. I'm actually going to be in slightly more close 90-90, meaning my knee angle is a little bit shorter. Now for this exercise, you may want to use your hands for the first couple reps. That's okay. So you can put your hands on the ground like this or in front of you, wherever you'd like. From there, we're going to lift our hips up off the ground using mostly our legs to push through the floor. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like without my hands, and I'll show you with. So I'm going to lean forward a little bit. I'm going to push down to lift my butt up off the ground and drive my hips forward. As you can see, my hips are all the way forward, butt off the ground. I'm going to control my descent, lowering to the ground very smoothly and slowly, and then come back up. Okay, with the hands, very simply, my hands are on the ground here. I can push my fingers through the floor to just barely help me get the hips up off the ground and forward. They can help you going down too. It is a hard exercise for your mobility because you're in this interesting position. You're going to feel some glute stretching, some internal hip stretching here. So it's not easy just because of the mobility of the position, let alone the actual movement of the position. So use your fingers if you have to. I've done 4, I'm going to do 6 more. You also don't want to generate force going forward using momentum. So what I don't want is throwing myself forward like that. Okay? I don't want to jerk forward using my arms. I'm going to smoothly and slowly lean forward to drive myself up. And that's going to ensure that my core and legs are working nice and smoothly and slowly the way that they should, rather than using momentum and poor form. Okay, so that's 10 on that side. I'm going to switch sides. This side tends to be a little bit more of an issue for me just because my left glute is a bit tighter, and also the internal rotation of my right hip is a little bit tighter as well. So sometimes I like to use my fingertips more for this side. We'll see how it feels. Shorter angles than usual. Lean forward a bit. Drive the hips up and forward. Down and back slow. And repeat. Use your fingertips if you have to. Remember, there's no shame in using those at all. I got 2 more. All right, now after those 2 exercises, the step down and the 90-90 hip thrust, your legs and hips are going to be working and feeling it already a lot. So hope you enjoyed those 2. Now we're going to move on to the upper body, where we're going to do a version of a push-up, but you're going to do it with one hand, one arm on a wall. Okay, so a typical push-up is on the ground, right? If you were to try to do that with one arm, probably wouldn't go very well. So when you do it elevated, it's going to assist you a little bit more to be able to do it with just one arm. Now the reason why we would want to do it with one arm as opposed to 2 is because it's obviously going to put more weight on that arm, and it's also going to make your core work a lot harder. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your hand on a wall at the same level and width of your shoulder. So if I put my hands on the wall, that's shoulder width apart. I take one off. My arm is parallel with the ground here. Okay, that's the distance that you're choosing. Now, how far you step your feet back is going to make it much more difficult. So I'm going to step back onto my toes a little bit. And I'm going to stay all the way on my toes. So I'm pushing quite high on my toes there. Okay, and I want to stay that high on my toes. Now, keeping my core engaged, my abs, my glutes, I'm going to very slowly lower my chest towards the wall. Okay, I'm not going to allow myself to rotate or turn. I'm going to stay square to the wall and very slowly descend. Now, you can see that's my distance right there. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm going to press myself back out. So I'm not going to go into a full depth push-up because it's super challenging. It's quite hard on this arm. I got tricep, pec, delts working along with core to stabilize my depth. So I'm going to do 10 each side now. That was 2. One thing for force production is focusing on exhaling as you push. So I take my big breath in now. If you want to focus on that. That kind of helps the power production. Alright, that's one arm. Now I'm going to switch to the other. Hand on the wall, shoulder width, shoulder height. Step back onto the toes. Remember, one arm is always stronger than the other, so be mindful of where you're at with one side as opposed to the other. Lower yourself down slow. Press back out. I'm pressing through all fingers. Knuckles. Core is staying tight. I'm not rotating. Wow, yeah, that was actually surprising for me. I didn't think it was going to be that hard for myself, to be quite honest. So I got 10 each side. That's 3 exercises for you to do in dynamic movement. Remember, at least 2 sets. Try for 3 if you really want to push yourself. Happy Tuesday. I will see you on Friday.